Hey, BassGeek here, and if you haven't been throwing one of these baits already this spring, you better pick it up right now as those bass are starting to move shallow. And this will be the last one you ever need to use. That's right, geeks. I've got a bait that may be the last and only lipless you ever use. It has special hook hangers that will help keep you from losing bass. We all know that sometimes lipless, they can lose a bass or two, but these, when they're stuck, they're stuck. Not to mention the great hooks that are on them. It sinks well. You can yo-yo it. It has a silent and a rattle version. The colors are incredible, even for this clear lake that I'm on today. And in the flats, it will run nose down so that I can bump stumps when I'm grinding the nose. Oh, and if that ain't enough, when it drops to the bottom, it'll set nose down like a feeding bait fish. Oh, you gotta let me show you this. So what is this incredibly designed lipless crankbait? It is the Thunderhawk Sergeant. You want to talk about a pretty incredible bait, and this is one of my absolute favorite colors. This is ghost shad. And I want to go over some of the things that make this incredible. It's got a great vibration, but you'll notice this one, silent. That's something that I love in clear water. The vibration is great, but sometimes in that clear water, I don't need all that rattle. And this is deadly for me. One of my favorite things about this is it has swivels or rotating hook mounts. So these spin around. So those bass cannot get leverage. They cannot get free. And you talk about some great hooks. I'm not sure what they use, but these things are crazy sharp. The other thing is it's got a very unique swimming action. It does rest nose down, so it's great to yo-yo. It's also great to grind that nose if you really fish it extremely fast. You can tell how far that eye tie is on the back. So if you're fishing it quick, like I like to do in flats, you can have it come nose down. It'll come across brush. It'll come across stumps. If you guys haven't seen me talking about how to do that, I'll leave a link to that video at the end of this video. It's really a great way in the spring when they're pulling up on the flats to catch some bass, is burning this thing. It's also great to do it in the fall. One of my favorite things about it though is that it rests on its nose in the water. So it will sit nose down in the water. Because this is hollow, there's no weight back here. All your weight is weight forward on this bait. And so when you want to yo-yo it, or when you just want to drag it and bump things, that is how it's going to sit on the bottom. Okay, so these come in two different sizes, but believe it or not, this is something else that I love. They are the same profile. So you can get a 3/4 ounce that rattles. So the rattling is 3/4 ounce. The silent is 1/2 ounce, but they're the exact same size. So they're the exact same size and profile of any and most 1/2 ounce. That's something I love with this, which is the 3/4, which is a rattling, because this is another video, but if you stay to the end, I'll just go ahead and show you two videos. There's a little known technique that we like to do during the winter time when it comes to a lipless, and the 3/4 is really great for that out deep. So I'll put a link to that video in there too. It's a pretty good retrieve, and it's pretty good retrieve when they're on bottom anytime. We'll go ahead and run through the colors. I'll start with the silent first. This is bait. This is bluegill. This is metallic red. This is transparent red. Last but not least, this is hitch. Now these are the ones I picked up with the rattles. These are the rattling. This is black gold. Metallic red. This is creek minnow. Again, my favorite color, even in the 3/4 rattling. This is ghost shad. Great color this time of year when the water dirties up, spring crawl. Geeks, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about tying it on. This is because I like to rummage through the rattling and the non-rattling, or rummage through different colors to see which one the bass are really biting on. And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just put me a quick clip on here, something that I can move from one bait to the other with. And basically it's simple. You know, I tied the pitsine knot on there and I just come right through and you just clip it on. Now there's a ton of them out there. There's some of the fast clips. I don't know what they're called. They're a little heavier duty than these, but I've never had any trouble with those right there. All right, geeks, so before we even get started on the rod, reel, and line, listen, I'm not sponsored by this company. I don't even know who they are. I've got a link in the description. This is a fabulous little thing, and they're actually incredibly cheap. Unlike what you'll get when people put their little names on there and how expensive they are. It's Amazon. I buy them like 20 at a time. They're super cheap. Go check those out. So when we talk about rod, reel, and line, this is my go-to rod, and I really cannot say enough about this rod. This is the newly designed Douglas Era, ERA, and they are $100 retail. And by the way, I got a 10% discount off for you in the description below. You can go get these for an even better price on the Douglas website. So there's two different types of rod that you may want. One of them is if you're going to be around grass. You want something a little bit stiffer so you can rip that through the grass. For me, I like a rod kind of like this. This is their chatterbait rod, so it's got a little bit of a tip on it, which means I can cast this thing a literal country mile. But because of the treble hooks, even with the spinning trebles, you still need to make sure you're not going to rip them out, and that's where this rod comes in. It's got a little bit of a softer tip on it. So this is a 7'1", so I can get a nice long cast but still be accurate with a medium heavy. I believe the 5 power is a medium heavy. This thing is incredible when it comes to fishing this, especially what I'm going to show you I'm going to do with it. Love the Battleship Gray, and I've got that paired with a Lew's Custom Pro. Now, they've upgraded these, but this is a 681. What that does is allows me to burn it, but it also allows me to work it slowly. It's a good speed. I think Lew's is the only one that has that speed in most of their reels, and I love that speed. It comes in so handy. And of course, we've got K9 Pro 100 on this. Now, this would be a good bait to throw their copolymer, their fluoro, which gives you just a little more stretch, and it'll help keep those bass hooked up even better. But right now, we've got 12-pound test K9 Pro 100. Hey, we got a 10% discount right here. You guys need to make sure you go check them out. I'm telling you, you will not be sorry when you try out this line. So because I fish highlands reservoirs, listen, there's a ton of things you can do with this bait, and you geeks know what to do for your areas. But because I'm on a clear, very steep, very mountainous lake, one of my favorite things to do is get close to a bank and work the inside and outside turn of a point and work that point. And there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can literally just drag it on the bottom like you would a jig. I know that might sound a little bit scary to you, but as you can see over my shoulder, there's just a lot of rock in the area that I'm fishing. The other way is let it sink to the bottom and just give it small hops, just yo-yo it back. That's probably one of my favorite ways to do this right now. Now, when it comes to a hook set on a treble hook bait, you just kind of lean into the side, a side set or a 45. Keep that rod tip down. Make sure that you're, not letting them jump, because those treble hooks, if they jump up out of the water and they swing that head, unless they've got it good, or they just swipe at it, a lot of times you can lose those fish. Even with the best trebles, even with the swivel system on this one. Now, like I always say, these are treble hooks, so if you can net, do net. because they're gonna be all up in their face. And you don't want them all up in your hand or all up in your face if they come loose. The other way, of course, is gonna be boat hop a dink. Just get it in there, keep it away from you. I don't like to catch the line. I don't remember who it was I was watching just the other day, but they were fishing a crankbait and narrowly missed getting that crankbait in their hand. If nothing else, if you can get down there and scoop them up by their belly, that'd probably be the best way to do it. All right, geeks, make sure you go check out the Sergeant. There will be links in the description again to go check these baits out. And if you're not throwing a lipless right now, there's no doubt you're missing out. All right, geeks, so both of those videos that I mentioned before are gonna be right here. Make sure you go check them out. Otherwise, questions, comments in the comments section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell so you get these notifications when the videos come out. Be part of the 100% Watch Squad, and you geeks rock.